these 800,000 people are integrated in all of our communities across this country, right? They're in medical schools. Some of them are police officers. Did you hear about that story of someone in Houston who's actually a documented person who helped with the relief effort in, in Houston right now?
Yeah.
So I thought of all those stories of all those people and the fact that the stories, the real personal stories, are getting lost in just the toxic politics of this. And again, I think it's really important to remember this. The government said to them, come. Give us your phone numbers, give us your addresses, give us pay. I don't know if people know this. DACA recipients have to pay about $500 to the government so that the government doesn't deport them for 2 years. They have to pay that again when they renew it. If you think about it, right, 800,000 young people in this country collectively paid, what, $400 million so that the government doesn't deport them?
Yeah, and that's in addition to the taxes that they pay, which they can't get back in things like Social Security.
Exactly.
Right. And so I want to put up just for our audience so that you understand how you qualify for DACA, because Donald Trump has sort of made this sort of distinction. Well, we only want to deport people who are, quote, criminals. You have to have come to the U.S. before your 16th birthday. You have to be under the age of 31 as of June 15, 2012. You have to continuously have resided in the U.S. since June 15, 2007. You have to be in school, have a diploma or a GED, or be a veteran, meaning some of them already are serving in the military. Note that. You have to have no felonies or significant misdemeanor convictions, and you have to be deemed not a threat to national security or public safety. So if you look at just who these folks are, Maria and Hosa, median age of them was 25 years old. Median age of arrival was 6 years old. 91.4% of them are employed, and of those, 56% were not employed before DACA, meaning they got jobs because of DACA. That you put together for us some stories of individual DACA recipients who are under threat if this is rescinded. Let's play Joel.
My name is Joel Sati. I am a second-year PhD student in jurisprudence and social policy at the University of California, Berkeley. I came to the United States when I was 9 years old. DACA has been critical in my upward path to being a law professor. I see defining American as being able to question the very terms by which me and people like me are rendered illegal. I call on immigrant communities, both those who fit the Dreamer narrative and those who don't, to come together and chart a new course forward.
My name is Giovanni Amalo. I'm 22 years old and I arrived in the country in 1998 from Mexico City when I was 3 years old. I've been here for roughly about 19 years, and DACA was introduced right when I graduated high school. And in May of this year, I graduated with a bachelor's in mathematics. I now work for a bank in the fraud department, and essentially I protect and monitor our citizens' money from being stolen through financial crimes. I do believe that my work ethic is an asset to this, and I just don't understand how removing DACA is beneficial for anyone at all. You know, the term American should not be defined with a document or the lack of one. It is more so the willingness to contribute to the country and help others out whenever possible. And that is exactly what I and thousands of others are willing to do.
While the future of DACA hangs by a thread, dreamers like Giovanni have bravely come forward, humanizing the conversation with their stories. And joining me now are 3 recipients of DACA: Jonathan Jays Green, co-founder of UndocuBlack; Jin Park, founder of Higher Dreams; and Karla Perez, community leader for United We Dream. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you guys because one of the things that we've wanted to do, and I'll start with you, Jin, is to take people out of the mindset that the issue of DACA is just about Mexican migrants. Because I think a lot of people have this stereotype that every single DACA recipient came to the United States from Mexico, and that immigration is literally just a Mexican and American problem, but it's much bigger than that. Tell us your story, Jin.
Right, so my parents and I moved from South Korea when I was 7. We came because my parents couldn't find jobs in Korea, and they knew that the education system was more fair and just in the U.S. And I think it's really important to understand exactly what you said, that immigration is a human issue. It's fundamentally about opportunity. It's about people coming to the U.S. to improve themselves and the lives that they have in the country. So I think that's something that Donald Trump has failed to do, that immigration is a much broader and it's a much more complicated issue than he seems to report in his rallies.
And immigration in general, you know, Jonathan, is multicultural, right? It's from all, we get immigrants from all over the world, and the undocumented are no different. We do have some stats, and I believe these might be from Pew poll. And yes, Mexican migrants make up a dominant but declining of the population. 92.6% of the recipients of DACA are Latino, but 3.5% are Asian Pacific Islander, and 1.1% are Black. Your family originally came in from Panama. Tell us your story.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for the invitation. I think that for me personally, and also for us as UndocuBlack, it's super important to understand that immigration is also a racial justice issue, right? Looking at that intersection of migration and blackness as well, because there's over 565,000 Black undocumented folks across the country. Some of us have DACA, some of us fall under other statuses like TPS that are also under threat right now. So it's really
interesting. And that's temporary protected status,
yes,
which is protecting Haitian migrants and others.
Haitians, Somalian, Sudanese, and other countries as well. So for us, it's important to be able to understand that, yes, I'm worried about being undocumented in my status, but I'm also a young Black man living in the city of Baltimore, and there are particular nuances and consequences to that that need to be brought to the fore.
Can you talk about a little bit of that? Because, you know, one of them is obviously policing. How does it complicate interacting with police when you add Blackness, which is already, you know, an issue when it comes to policing, but also undocumented status?
I think particularly what's happening with DACA right now, it's a perfect example, right? So I know that statistically I'm more likely to be picked up for anything, right? So what does it mean to lose that protection that I have, and I'm more likely to have an interaction with the police?
Yep. Yeah, and Karla, you know, obviously the other issue is that you have young people who are already paying into the system, contributing, not only paying to have the DACA status, but also contributing to the economy. And the previous stat, by the way, was Center for American Progress. I want to make sure that I give them their credit for that. But according to Define American, you have $11.6 billion in annual state and local taxes being contributed by undocumented Americans. You have $12 billion into the Social Security Trust Fund, which you guys do not get back, are not eligible for, are more likely to start businesses. You know, you have all of this resources that DACA recipients are putting in. What does it mean, or how does it feel to know that you can never get back any of that money? You can't. You're not going to get Social Security. You're not eligible for it.
Certainly, and I'm glad to be here. An example, really, I'm in here today from Houston, Texas, and our city has been devastated by Hurricane Harvey. But I have seen how our community has come together to rebuild this city, and that includes many immigrants in our community and many DACA recipients like myself who right now are putting together their love for their community and for their cities before themselves.
And Karla, just stay with you just for a moment, because I'm glad that you made that point that you are from Houston. You've had members of the community who are undocumented who are helping with the you know, recovery and trying to contribute in that way. But also, can you talk a little bit about the fear that people have that there are still checkpoints? So if you're trying to evacuate from Houston and you're undocumented, what additional element of fear does that add?
Sadly, there have been many reports, and part of some of the efforts that we've been undergoing here to inform our community has been participating in phone banks. And I've spoken to individuals who are afraid to ask for help, whether from law enforcement or to seek other resources, because they are afraid. And although I've you know, constantly told people that they shouldn't put their lives in danger, and that we are all here for each other in this moment, unfortunately, that does deter some people from seeking this help.
And you know, Jen, we know that according to the Migration Policy Institute, you know, undocumented Asian Americans are actually the fastest growing group of the undocumented population, a growth rate of 202%. Asian Americans are the fastest growing immigrant group overall. But some of these communities are also insulated, right? Are not mainstreamed anyway. Does that add an additional layer of fear for undocumented Asian Americans?
Yeah, so I think that's one of those things that I think about a lot. So in the Asian American community, among the people that have, among the recipients of deferred action, the Asian American community has been one of the smallest groups. So I think going forward, it's important to note that even in 2012, when DACA was first instated, it didn't just fall out of the sky, right? All of our communities, we had to unite and we had to fight for it. So going forward, I think it's especially important in the Asian American community that we join the fight and we ensure that even if the decision comes in Tuesday that the administration decides to rescind it, that we're gonna unite, we're gonna demonstrate the incredible mobilizing power that we have in our community.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most important things, and I'm glad that the three of you are here, and I hope that one of the things that comes out of it is that these communities, whether it is Black, white, Latino, Asian American, that all of, realize we're all in this together. Thank you so much. Jonathan Jays Green, Jin Park, and Karla Perez. Thank you guys for being here. And be sure to join the conversation using the hashtags American Dreamers and AM Joy, and share your immigration story at defineamerican.com. We'll be right back.
My name is Joaida Tornes Cabrera. I was born in Zihuatanejo, Guerrero, Mexico. And when I was 2 years old, my mom decided to move to the U.S. along with me and my older sister. DACA has allowed me to continue to pursue my education and for my family to be able to afford to send me to college. DACA has allowed me to continue to my family's income, and it's allowed me to travel outside my hometown without the fear of being deported. I define American as someone who values what this nation was founded on and works to improve not only themselves but the country as a whole.
Another example of the real-life impact that DACA has had on the lives of nearly 1 million dreamers and their families, and what's at stake if Donald Trump decides to end the program. Jose, you and I talk about this a lot, that, one of the reasons I relate so much to this story is my parents came here in 1960, one from the African continent, from the then Zaire, and the other from British Guyana. I have no paperwork that tells me how they did that. I have no idea what their process was. All I know is I'm American, they came here, and we never questioned it. So I find it weird that people, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I define American. I'm here. I was born here.
I really implore every journalist who's about to write about this, at Define American, you can download this fact sheet, defineamerican.com/DACA. Every single fact you need to know about what DACA is. Please, print it out, share it with people, talk about your uncle. I mean, look at some of these facts, right? 95% of people who have DACA are currently in school. 63% got a better paying job. I was really stunned by this. 12% bought their first home.
So they're paying a mortgage.
So what happens if they get deported? And this for me, 54% bought their first car.
Yeah.
So all those automaker dealers all across this country and people who do insurance, car insurance work, can you get involved? I mean, don't you want us to buy cars and purchase car insurance?
Well, and also, if somebody gets deported, are they liable to still have to pay their car note and their mortgage? So banks that have a mortgage note for those people, do they still get their money? And share your immigration story at defineamerican.com.
My name is Sagar Patagundi, and I work for Amazon.com as an operations manager. I came to the United States back in 2002. In 2012, because of DACA, I'm able to support my brothers. They're going to school full-time, so I'm able to help them buy their tuition, or help them pay for rent and their utilities and pay their car insurances and etc. While doing all that, I'm also able to live my dreams freely. So how do I define myself as an American is by being a hard worker and having the ambition to succeed and always wanting more and being able to help others out to succeed.
The question really is, President Trump, how do you define American?
Yep.
That is the question.